Isaac Pitbull Cruz beats Rolly Romero in the 8th round. The referee stops the fight. Rolly Romero couldn't take any more. Pitbull Cruz looked excellent. He put Rolly Romero in skates on the first, and from there, Pitbull Cruz just dominated the whole fight, and now he's a world champion. And there's a lot of good fights that you can make with Pitbull Cruz at the 140 division. Put him on the biggest stage against the biggest names, and I promise you that Pitbull Cruz is going to look nice in there and give us a really, really good fight. I talk more details about the fight, so let's get right into it. Hey guys, welcome to the False Line Podcast here with episode 203. Guys, today's episode is going to be about last night. We had Pitbull Cruz against Rolly Romero, and then we had, I want to say his last name is Tszyu versus Fundora. And that's pretty much it, because then after that, we got to get ready for UFC 300. So this one's going to be short and sweet and just about boxing. So if you are curious about last night or just anything about boxing with those names that I mentioned, you are in the right place. So let's get right into it, guys. I'm going to talk about the Tszyu fight versus Fundora, and then we'll talk about Isaac and Rolly. So, this was the main event. I think most people there were there to watch Isaac Cruz. Nothing against Tszyu and Fundora, but, just keep it keeping it, just being honest with you guys. But anyways, let's talk about that fight real quick. So it seemed like that fight, Fundora, it took that fight on 12 days notice. I forgot the last guy who was supposed to be in there, but he took the fight on 12 days notice. A very tall guy. I believe that he was knocked out his last fight. So, coming into this fight, he was not a guy who was supposed to come in here and win that fight. Just being honest. We get into the fight. It seems like Tzયુ's going to just dominate. He looks just a lot more smarter, just a better boxer in the ring. Just watching the fight till the elbow, to be honest. I didn't really see the elbow, live like right away, because I went to probably take the dogs out or, feed them or something. So, but I came back and I just saw that he had the big old cut open and he was just pouring blood, and, they were trying to figure out what they were going to do. Then I saw the replay and I saw it completely accidental. It sucks because it kind of changes the whole course of the fight. The fight's just a different fight now. And I think as a fighter, it's just another challenge that you have to face during the fight besides your opponent. It's just an outside factor that you got to deal with and overcome. So for Tszyu, it sucks, because he probably should have won that fight if it wasn't for that cut. And I hate that I'm saying that out loud, but it's the truth. And nothing against Fundora, but Tszyu should have won that fight. I don't really care, right? But just being honest. And then after that, Fundora does very, very well, to take advantage of that cut, keeps hitting it, make sure that the blood's getting into the Tszયુ's face, and he's managing the distance with his fucking long ass reach, and just beats Tszyu, unfortunately. I want them to run it back, to be honest with you, because obviously of the cut to the head. But, they're talking about Errol Spence fighting the winner of that fight, whether it was Tszyu or Fundora, and Fundora is the winner. So, that would be an interesting matchup for Errol Spence, because Fundora is a very, very long guy, and tall as well, was 6 foot something. So it's kind of crazy that someone at that height with that reach is fighting. And it would be interesting for Errol Spence, coming off the loss to Terrence Crawford. It would be just an interesting fight. But I would hope and I want to see Tszyu and Fundora run it back, because, I just think it would be only fair. But I understand if they continue their own ways and move on. But it was a good fight. I didn't expect it to be good at all. I thought it was going to be very one-sided. But like I said, the cut changed the whole fight different. And I saw one guy trying to face adversity and overcome the whole cut situation. And then on top of that, managed to get points to beat the guy in front of him. And Fundora, a guy who's not supposed to be in there, takes the fight on late notice. He has opportunity now to really win this fight. So it just made the fight very exciting to me. So I liked it. It was fun. It was a good-ass fight. So, but we'll see both those guys bounce back, or Tszyu bounce back and do real well. All right, so let's get into, not the main event, but, the main topic here, Isaac Pitbull Cruz versus Rolly Romero. I was very, what you could say, uh, I was very confident that Pitbull Cruz was going to win this fight. I didn't nothing against Rolly Romero. I think Rolly seems to be a chill guy, cool guy. If I ever got, I hope I get to meet him one day. And he seems like super chill, very nice, and nothing against him. But I did say like starting boxing late. The opponents that he's faced, and then the way he looked against Gervonta, and I was just like, there's just no chance. Pitbull Cruz, he doesn't get the respect and the attention that he probably deserves. But, I mean, to me, he's one of the best guys. In this little group that are the best guys, I think he's in that conversation. And once he gets his chance and his moment, I hope that's next. I mean, he's going to do well. So Rolly coming into this fight from a Pitbull Cruz, who's rising to the top, it's just like I don't see Rolly stopping Pitbull, and especially against how he looked against Ismael Barroso. I mean, not like I said, nothing against Rolly, but the lack of experience and the opponents that he's had and the fight, against Ismael, it just, it's just two different levels when you talk about Pitbull Cruz and Rolly. So I was very confident, for Pitbull Cruz to come in there. I wanted him to just, completely bash him out and knock him out. He almost did in the first. I did not expect that. So, about the fight, right off the rip, Pitbull Cruz comes out aggressively, and he always does that, cuts off the ring, he's always in your face. So nothing surprising there, but I was surprised how aggressive he was, like trying to land punches, and I think that was part of his game plan to see if he can put him out in the first. And he almost did. Rolly was a little sloppy in the clinch, and Isaac is really good in the clinch, and that's what that's what stood out to me in this fight too, as well as how good he was in the clinch. So he did real well, and I believe it was like a overhand kind of that landed on Rolly and wobbled him and put him on skates. And kudos for Rolly to not go down after that and to keep going, essentially 7 more rounds before the fight was over. But it was very one-sided. There were small moments for Rolly, and I mentioned, if Rolly was going to do anything, it would be, like a lucky shot, but it would be like a Hail Mary, type of shot that he was going for, because I knew that Pitbull Cruz was just going to kind of eat him alive. He's going to cut off the ring, manage the distance, get you in the body, we go for the face shot. He's just going to get you in every way and beat you in every way. Like, it's just how I felt. And, and that was pretty much the fight, to be honest with you. Like, very one-sided, and Pitbull Cruz got the finish in the 8th. The referee decided to stop it and said no more for Rolly. Like, that's it. That's the damage. That's all the damage that he's going to take. And I thought it was a good stoppage. Rolly Romero looked pretty out of it when it was over. And then when they interviewed him at the end of the fight, like, you can clearly tell that he was concussed and didn't really know how to answer questions, and it was just thanking God and happy Easter is the best that he could come up with, which was the smartest thing, because, I mean, if he would have said anything else, he probably would have embarrassed himself, to be honest. If for Rolly, I will say, that was pretty much a fight. And, to talk about Rolly a little bit, Rolly Romero is not a guy who's supposed to be in these fights, like with Gervonta and Isaac. He's supposed to be fighting Ismael Barroso. Like, those are the fights that Rolly Romero needs to be fighting. And I know it's a bit shitty for me to say, but, again, just being honest. And the reason why Rolly Romero is in the situation that he's in is because of his mouth. The way he talks, the way he trolls, the way he can get that attention. And that's how he got the Tank fight. For Tank, I was like, oh, this guy's, he's talking a lot. He gets a lot of clout for that. Let's make the fight. He only has like 17, 18 fights under his belt. Like, I'm going to eat this kid alive. And that's what Gervonta did. Like, it was an easy payday for Gervonta. And it was probably a nice payday for Teofimo. I mean, not Teofimo, for Rolly. And he does that well. Like I said, he just be chirping and he talks a lot. And, he takes advantage of his opportunities. He lost against Gervonta. He lost against Pitbull. But now he's a fighter that some people do want to see because of what he says. So I think he does that well. And, you got to give it to him, because there's probably guys that are better than him that are not getting those bigger fights or those nice paydays like Rolly Romero is. So, and to know what's next for Rolly, I would like to Rolly to, to win. I want to see him win a fight against a decent guy. And not a fight that's going to sell a lot. Maybe it's not a fight that goes on pay-per-view. Like just a fight that gets his confidence back against a good opponent and does well. Like that's what I want to see from Rolly. Like I said, he looks like a cool dude, nice dude, and I want to see him do really good. He's really young in the sport in general, and as well as professionally, but like he's talented and he's been able to get at this level for a reason. He's skillful to an extent, and that's why he's fighting at this stage. But I want to see him get a nice win and do well. Like that's really what I want to see from Rolly, and hopefully he can bounce back and just recover in a healthy way. And like I said, I just want to see him win on his next fight, and hopefully he's smart about that and he fights a guy that he can beat and just get the ball rolling, and then he can be fighting those big names again as well. So this pod or this episode is really going to be just about Isak. I want to spend about a good chunk of time here just talking about Isak. Because I'm Mexican and I think a lot of Mexican people can relate with me. We like to support our Mexican people, whether they're boxers, MMA guys, football players, or soccer players. I mean, we just support like 100%. We ride for our guys, and that's just what we do. And that's when I watch Isak fight Gervonta, I mean, I was watching, what is it called, like the All Access or the behind the scenes that Showtime puts out when he fought Gervonta, and I was like, dude, this guy's Mexican as hell. Like, he lives like down somewhere in Mexico, and humble guy, in two different worlds. When you talk about Isak and Gervonta's like, lights and cameras, flashiness, and Isak's, eating fucking rice and beans, hearing chickens outside. Like that's the lifestyle that he was living. And no disrespect, but that's a reality in Mexico for some people. And, but he's skillful, talented, and the boxing name runs in the family as well. And he started boxing, and like I said, he took that fight on weeks' notice. I forgot how many weeks it was. But I was just fascinated by the whole story. I was fascinated by, himself as a person. Like he seemed like a nice, humble guy. Never disrespected anyone. Was always talking good about Gervonta, and has always said that he was very, like thankful that he got that opportunity, because as well, if it wasn't for that fight, he wouldn't get the respect and he wouldn't have blown up, because that's when Isak Pitbull Cruz became Pitbull, like, straight up. So, I mean, ever since then, I've been behind Pitbull, and he's done well. Like he's been, beating everybody in a dominant way. Like ever since then, and even in that fight, like Pitbull Cruz was never in danger. And I haven't seen Pitbull Cruz in danger, even in that Gervonta fight. And I think now, like Pitbull Cruz, like I said in the clip, in the intro, like Pitbull Cruz is entering in like a point in his career right now where it's just gonna be the best of Pitbull Cruz. Like that, whatever it is that he achieves, but it's going to be the best. Like he's so young, and like I said, and now I think especially after that Rolly fight, people are really, really going to want to watch him, because he's exciting and he's fun to watch. And then on top of that, he's really good. So, he's a guy that's, just going to keep rising to the top. And I want him to get an opportunity at the highest stage. And I'm going to say this, I was scrolling through Twitter today, and I hate that I fucking do this, but I see nonsense that the fight was rigged and making excuses for Isak's win, and I'm just like, why can't you just give a guy his flowers? And it's in every aspect as well, but I don't understand. But the one that triggered me the most is just, it was a replay of Isak and Gervonta, and it said like if they would run it back, Gervonta would beat him or knock him out if Gervonta Davis didn't hurt his hand. And I was just like, are you fucking serious, bro? Like, Gervonta Davis hurt his hand, I've forgotten what round in that fight. It definitely wasn't in the first. And if anyone needs to know anything on how that fight went, just watch the first round. I believe it was like in the third and the fourth. And I'm sure Gervonta Davis has had other injuries in other fights as well. During the fight, before the fight, it doesn't fucking matter. Like it happens. Most fighters go through these injuries no matter what into a fight. And I think a lot of people discredit what Pitbull Cruz did that night because Gervonta Davis hurt his hand. It's like, how many fights has he probably hurt his hand? but it's probably knocked somebody out. You don't hear him talking about he hurt his hand or he broke his hand. Like, you don't hear that. You only hear it when he goes to a decision. It's like, damn, you went to a decision. You haven't been to a decision since 2014. It's 2021, and this guy on the 3 weeks notice took you to decision. Like, of course he's going to use the broken hand excuse. And of course the Twitter people are going to be like, oh, he had a broken hand. And it's just like, bro, give Isak his fucking flowers, bro. Like, he took Gervonta Davis to 12 rounds, and that was in 2021. It's 2024, and Gervonta Davis has not mentioned about a rematch with Pitbull Cruz. And he doesn't want it. Like, if Pitbull Cruz is trouble, who wants to fight Pitbull Cruz? I get it. So, you know, I saw that on Twitter, and I was just like triggered by that. And I was like, bro, what are we doing here? You know, and I'm going to keep repeating myself about this stuff because I really want Twitter or just the internet or social media, you know, I get it. People are going to hate, and that's fine. But, like, if somebody's good, just admit it. Just be like, man, this guy beat this guy, and that's it. And then the haters can, you know, just comment, you know. But don't give the haters the big, you know, name, the big clout. Like, I just don't like it, but whatever. So, yeah, Pitbull Cruz now. Like, what do you do with Pitbull Cruz? He moved up. He was fighting at 135, and now he's fighting at 140. I forgot if it's WBO championship that he had won last night. But you got Matias, you got Devin Haney, and you got Teofimo Lopez, all champions at 140. And like, brother, like, bro, if you talk about, okay, Isak Pitbull Cruz against Devin Haney, banger. Isak Pitbull Cruz against Matias, banger. Isak Pitbull Cruz against Teofimo Lopez, banger. And I'm just like, bro, like, if Pitbull Cruz manages to be just one of those guys, you know, who's Shakur? Who's Ryan Garcia? It's Gervonta Davis, Devin Haney, and Isak Pitbull Cruz. That matters in boxing. That's it. And Canelo. But Canelo's, you know, on a different planet. But, like, bro, if Isak manages to be one of those guys, it would be awesome. And I want him to fight like Matias or Teofimo or Devin. You know, Devin's fighting in a few weeks as well. That's a fight that can happen. Why not? Why not? I don't really care, you know, who Pitbull Cruz fights. I just want it to be one of those guys. So I guess I do care. But I want him to be fighting for another title. He has a title, and it only makes sense that he fights someone else for the title. You know, I don't want, you know, Matias to fight someone that doesn't have a title. Teofimo's fighting someone, or he wants to fight someone who doesn't have a title. Devin's fighting someone who doesn't have a title. Like, I want to see titles on the lines. I don't care if it's Devin and Teofimo or Matias and Tszyu or Matias and Devin. I just want to see titles on the line. There's 4 guys. You can make 2 fights. You know, not necessarily 2 fights, but there's a combination of fights that you can make for the titles, you know? And just make good fights. Like, that division is exciting as well. So, you know, there's a lot of opportunity for good fights and for a lot of money to be made. And I want somebody to get behind Pitbull Cruz, a big promoter or a big, what is it called, a sponsor behind them, just to be riding with them and just make them not necessarily a money machine, but at the caliber where he gets the attention and the respect that he deserves, and the attention where people want to fight him. Like, people were willing to take the chance. I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to make a lot of money, and this guy's good, and he has a belt. Like, that's why I want to fight him. You know, because we know a lot of people that avoid the scary names, the boogeyman, you could say, of the division, and they just won't fight him. You know, and it's probably because they don't have a belt. So, you know, Isak Pitbull Cruz has a belt now, so people are going to try to take it away from him, and hopefully he gets those fights that he deserves. You know, and again, what was it? 2021 is when he had that fight with Tank, and I mean, ever since then, like, he's been blowing up, and I'm excited for Isak's future. I'm excited to see who he fights next. Hopefully, he fights later this year. And I mean, just nothing. I wish nothing but the best for Isak, and I really hope I get to meet that guy as well, because he looks like a nice, humble guy, and the dude is a killer in the ring. And I mean, I just wish him nothing but the best. And he's awesome all around. His interviews, very humble, very nice, and he's just a fucking badass in the ring. So I don't think there's really anything else I got to say about that. But it was good. I know lately the boxing MMA world has been kind of quiet and kind of dead. We do have UFC 300 coming up, next weekend specifically. And it's going to be a big weekend for everybody, everyone who watches UFC, everyone who creates content. And, and it's an exciting week for me as well. And I'm going to be real busy, guys. Like, I'm going to try and deliver with the content. I got a lot of videos to make. I got a lot of YouTube videos to edit. And I really hope that I can come through with that for you guys. And I will say this. I know a lot of people are upset about 300 and certain things. But, guys, it is what it is already. And UFC 300 is right around the corner. So let's just get ready. Let's just get ready to enjoy it. Start making the plans with the homies. Start making the plans with the food. Start making the plans where y'all going to watch the fight. Start making the fucking plans. Don't worry about who's fighting. Just get ready for 300, because 300, it's a milestone, obviously, for the UFC, but it's going to be 301, 302, 303, 304, 355, 368, 388. It's going to be 3-something for the next 2 years, 3 years, 4. I don't know, right? I don't know how long it takes, or maybe even more years. I'm tripping, 5+. I don't know, right? I don't know when 200 was. But it's just we're going to be entering a new era of MMA. 200's going to be gone. And if you guys haven't seen the video, I forgot who made this YouTube video. I wish I knew you got your name, bro. But there's a YouTube video where he talks about basically all the cool or the main, exciting pay-per-view events that happen, like a 280-something, 250. He breaks them down, and Conor McGregor being double champ, Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira. Who else? Khabib retiring, Nunez retiring. There's just a lot of iconic moments that happened in the twos, the era of the UFC twos, whatever it was, 201, 2 whatever, right? The 200 era, though. And now we're entering into a new era in MMA. And it is a new era because now MMA is different. The UFC is different. It's blown up completely as a sport. And, we just watch it almost like if it's the NFL or soccer, and that's the caliber that UFC is getting. Just UFC, the name itself, that's the caliber that it's reaching now. It's just becoming another American sport, or just a sport. I don't want to say American, but it's a sport that people are going to watch regularly on the weekends. And there's a lot of talent out there. There's a lot of good fighters out there, so it's very exciting. And I'm very looking forward to UFC 300. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And it's going to be a long, fun night. So I can't wait. But, guys, pretty much it. I know this one's short, sweet, just about boxing. But, we got a lot of preparation to do, and there wasn't really a lot going on. But, if anything exciting comes up, we'll make a YouTube video about it. And you guys can check that out on the False Nine podcast clips. If anything's new out there, if you haven't subscribed to that, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, you made it this far, go ahead and give me a subscribe, like, share, whatever. But if you listen all the way here, that means more than anything. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.